Well, before we start the sermon, we want to introduce ourselves. My name is Shawn Malaney.
And I'm Cindy.
And I've been a member of this fellowship for over 35 years, which strikes me as being a long time given where I am these days. And we have celebrated many milestones here. Our marriage ceremony, wedding vow renewals, child dedication, just to name a few. We consider this fellowship with all of its members as part of our extended family.
And now for the sermon. It's called Let It Go. We chose this topic today because August 4th is International Forgiveness Day. They do have days for everything. Robert Plath established International Forgiveness Day as the first global holiday dedicated to fostering a healing climate of forgiveness in our hearts, our homes, and our communities throughout the world. International Forgiveness Day has been celebrated on the first Sunday in August since 1996.
We wanted to come up with a title that encapsulates our sermon about forgiveness, and we thought the phrase "let it go" was meaningful. Our service is intended to make you aware of how important forgiveness is, both personally and for members of the community. Letting go of grievances and anger promotes peace and harmony. We will be providing music, stories, and quotations and personal reflections regarding the theme of forgiveness. Did you know that forgiveness is a central tenet in many religions? Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and Judaism. They all have spiritual practices regarding forgiveness, and some have specific festivals and holidays such as Ashura, Ramadan, Lent, Yom Kippur, and Holi, to mention a few.
Now, in our tradition, our Unitarian Universalist tradition, we don't have specific religious practices regarding forgiveness, redemption, and grace. We take inspiration from various sources. We reject the notion of original sin while recognizing that we all have a capacity for good and evil. For UUs, forgiveness is addressed by our covenant and our principles, which include respect for all beings. The covenant and principles bind us and hold us accountable to each other. But we do have a couple hymns that speak of forgiveness. In fact, we'll be singing one later on in the service.
I think Debashish Merida's quote about forgiveness is very powerful and very Unitarian-like. Love is my religion, kindness is my prayer, forgiveness is my temple, and peace my abode.
And now I'm going to tell you a parable about forgiveness. It's called The Sands of Forgiveness. Two friends were walking in a desert. They had very little water left. Soon they started to argue who would get the last few sips. In the heat of the moment, they started to fight, and one friend slapped the other in the face. The friend who was slapped felt very hurt, but he said nothing. But he did take a twig and he wrote in the sand, "Today my best friend slapped me in the face." Well, they journeyed on, and luckily they came to an oasis, and they dove into the water for a quick bath. But suddenly the friend who had just been slapped earlier started drowning. So his friend swam to his rescue and brought him back to the safety of the shore. Afterwards, the friend who had just got rescued carved on a stone, "Today, my best friend saved my life." So the friend who had pushed him and saved his best friend asked him, "After I hurt you, you wrote in the sand, and now you write on a stone. Why?" The friend replied, "When someone hurts us, We should write it in sand where the winds of forgiveness can erase it away. But when someone does something good for us, we must engrave it in stone where no wind can erase it. In other words, write your hurts in the sand and carve your blessings in stone.
So, why is forgiveness important? It's important because it impacts your health and your relationship with others. When you let go of anger, many studies suggest that you have a lower heart rate and lower blood pressure. Forgiveness has also been linked to many health benefits, including reduced stress, anger, depression, and anxiety. Forgiveness has the potential to repair and restore damaged relationships. When we forgive someone, we open the door to reconciliation and create an opportunity for rebuilding trust and understanding. When we forgive, we take control of our own emotions and responses instead of allowing the actions of others to dictate our lives. Dr. Asa Brown, a New York psychologist, states, "The benefits of forgiveness are unlimited."
In other words, forgiveness has no downside. According to Dr. Peter Breggin, a Harvard-trained doctor, he says a renewal of our capacity to forgive can only improve our inner life and empower us in every activity we undertake. And Nelson Mandela, who was jailed in South Africa, said that when he was released from prison, as I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew that if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison. In the Matthew West song that Shawn just sang, it reminds us of that. It'll clear the bitterness away. It can even set a prisoner free. There is no end to what its power can do. So let it go and be amazed by what you see through the eyes of grace. The prisoner it really frees is you.
When we were researching the nuances of forgiveness, we came across 3 powerful examples of how cultures practice and promote the act of forgiveness. At the heart of Hawaiian culture is nonviolence, and they express it in the following proverb: "Before the sun goes down, forgive." I gotta try this again. Ho'oponopono is a ritual used to resolve conflicts and to heal grievances and transgressions. The ritual consists of steps. One of them is to repeat the following 4 phrases: "I am sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you."
And I'm going to present another ritual that is done in the Bambeba tribe in South Africa. Whenever someone does something wrong or irresponsible, he is placed in the center of the village, and all work ceases. Every man, woman, child in the village gathers around in a large circle. And then each person in the tribe speaks to the accused person, one at a time, each recalling all the good things that person has done in his life. Every incident, every experience that can be recalled with any detail and accuracy. All his positive attributes, good deeds, strengths, kindness, they're all recited carefully and at length. This tribal ceremony often lasts for several days. At the end, the tribal circle is broken and a joyous celebration takes place. The person is symbolically and literally welcomed back into the tribe. What a beautiful example of a community's love and concern for one of their own. Shouldn't we all try to emulate this kind of forgiveness toward our friends and family each and every day?
Holi is called the Festival of Colors and is celebrated around the world and recognized as a national holiday in India. It is a joyful occasion where people light bonfires, throw colorful powder, eat sweets, and dance to traditional folk music. It is a festival symbolizing the importance of forgiveness and letting go. Each family deals with forgiveness in their own way. We wanted to share some personal reflections from our own lives. I noticed that one of my friends is estranged from his family because of disagreement over a will when his mom died. Whenever he talks about it, he is very upset and feels wronged by his siblings. I'm sorry the toll that it has taken on him. It has affected him mentally, and he rarely leaves his home. He has a wonderful wife and daughter, but basically has become a recluse. I feel like if he was able to forgive his siblings, it would set him free from the bitterness he carries inside and improve his well-being.
And I wanted to share one of my experiences. Years ago, I worked at Siemens as a software engineer right here in Boca. And I was very close to a coworker and even got to know him on a personal level when he invited me over to dinner with his family. We had a nice friendship and we worked well together on projects. But one day he stopped talking to me and he never acknowledged my presence, even though we worked in the same group. I didn't know why, and this went on for over 2 years. I never understood what I did to make him so angry. But years later, I did find out the reason. Another coworker told me we were working on a project together, and he asked me a question, and I didn't acknowledge him. He thought I was rude and that I ignored him. So when I found out about that, I went to him and apologized, even though I didn't remember the incident. But luckily, we were able to make amends, but we both were at fault because I should have asked him why he was mad at me at the time, and he should have told me that I hurt him right after it happened. Can you believe we both lost out on our friendship for 2 years over miscommunication? Forgiveness resolved our problem and restored our relationship. And now, I forgot to tell the people, but Molly Rose also is going to share a reflection. And could we put Molly on the screen? And she has something to share too.
Yep. In our family, forgiveness is an important value. Whenever one of us makes a mistake or has hurt someone, the person apologizes by saying, "I'm sorry," and the others respond, "Apology accepted." Also, we have a rule that when someone says, "I'm sorry," we can't say the word "but" after that, or it doesn't count as an apology. Another rule we follow is that once we accept an apology, we cannot bring up the same incident again.
Thank you, Molly. Well, we do have a few quotes to share with you that demonstrate the power of forgiveness.
This quote is from Tyler Perry. "It is not an easy journey to get to a place where you can forgive people, but it is a powerful place because it frees you." The second quote is from Alan Patton. "When deep injury is done to us, we never recover until we forgive." This reminds me of my friend who was estranged from his siblings.
And my quote is from Paul Booz, who said, "Forgiveness does not change the past, but it does enlarge the future." And this reminds me of my 2-year disconnect in my coworker's friendship. Another quote I want to share with you is from an unknown source, and it takes a strong person to say, "I'm sorry," and even a stronger person to forgive. This reminds me of what we try to practice in my immediate family. And now we'll go to another quote. Levi Lee, he's a mental health coach. I think he says it all. Forgiveness comes from the heart, and you have to let it go.
So Our sermon wasn't intended to tell you that you have to forgive or how to go about it or any of those things. You just have to let go sometimes. And forgiveness is a choice.
And I want to close in the modified words of Linda Weaver. She's Director of Education at the UU Church in Reston. Forgiveness is a gift that you can give to another person, yourself, and your community. Forgiveness can be a gift you give yourself as you let go of anger and resentment. It's also a gift you give your community as you restore peace and open yourself to deeper relationships with one another. A big part of being a Unitarian Universalist is learning how to live together in a community of peace and justice. That's the end of our sermon, but we are going to close the service today by engaging in remember I told you we didn't have rituals. But we do. It's a hymn. So if you turn to hymn 1037, but I want to say something before you stand up. We're going to be doing this, but I think there is wisdom in saying the words, I forgive. So we will say and sing collectively, we forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. Forgiveness restores harmony with self and others, as stated in our covenant each week, to the end that all shall grow into harmony. As we sing these words together, let us also feel joy at the moments and memories of love and right doing and the ever-present hope of healing. And now turn to page 1037, and you're only going to have to sing the music. There's a spoken part, but you will sing it after we speak the parts. Okay, and we will teach you the song.
Yeah, this is really difficult. It's 2 lines long and 3 chords.
Actually, you can sit down for this.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
Perfect. For remaining silent when a single voice would have made a difference.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For each time we have struck out in anger without cause. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For each time that our greed has blinded us to the needs of others.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love. For losing sight of our unity. We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again in love.
For those and for so many acts, both evident and subtle, which have fueled the illusion of separateness.
We forgive ourselves and each other. We begin again